we are actually going to be making this card right here. And I know Miss Peggy's in the house. And Peggy, Wink of Stella is all over this card. Miss Stella is in the house tonight. So I'm going to show you how to create this card with this watercolor wash in the background. And then I'm going to show you how to create this card. And this card has this die where you can lift up all these little petals on the bloom. So I'm going to show you how to do that tonight, okay? This is a similar card, very similar to this one. I did case this and I'll show you where that is in the catalog, okay? So these are the two cards we're going to create. These are going to be the Prize Patrol cards. All right, so I'm giving these away tonight. Hey, Sandy, welcome. Carol, we're so happy to have you. I know we don't want you getting a speeding ticket, Carol. Don't do that, okay? All right. Thank you, Simone. I'm so glad you like the cards. Ladies, I think you're going to find anything you create with this suite, it's going to be gorgeous. That's what I found. It's not that I have any specific talent. It's just the nature of this suite, okay? All right, so let's take a look in the catalog first. It's in our January to June mini, and there are 3 pages on this suite. So the first page is page 18, and it gives you lots of samples right here. So there are like 6 samples here, okay? And look at that cute little mini pizza box. This right here, I believe, is just cut out from the designer paper. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm so glad you like the cards. So this is a pizza box, and I think this is just cut out from designer paper, okay? It's like every time that I look at this page, I see something new. Now, my idea for this card that we're creating tonight came from right here. Do you see this watercolor background? That's what I did here, okay? And it's super easy, all right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so let's scoot over to this page, all right? And now you're going to notice that we've got the stamp set and we've got the dies. We've got some mercury acetate sheets. I'm going to show those to you as well. We've got this gorgeous grape sheer ribbon. And we've got these beautiful pearls, and of course this gorgeous, gorgeous paper, all right? So you're gonna get a close-up of that. Joyce, it's so good to have you tonight. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Jean from sunny Oregon. It was sunny in Virginia today too. All right, now page 20, you're gonna notice the stamp set, and you're gonna notice the dies, all right? So I'm going to show you here just a few tips regarding the stamp set. First of all, you'll notice that these images right here are highlighted in white. Now they're highlighted in white because there is a die that will cut it out, okay? So there's a die to cut out this piece, a die for this, a die for the tag, and then dies for these 2 pieces as well as the leaves, all right? So now we're gonna actually look at the product. And here's the Hydrangea Haven stamp set right here. I love the font. There's several, I guess there are 2 different fonts in this set. And some are in cursive and some are in small print, but aren't they beautiful fonts and tons of words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 10 greetings in this stamp set. You're going to notice the word with love and for you. These are perfect for the little tag as well as congrats, thank you, and I love you, all right? So you'll get a close-up of those dies. I'm going to open up my case right here. And now I'm actually going to show you the stamped version with the dies, okay? And then we will be using these dies tonight, all right? Okay, so here's the flower that we were talking about. It can be cut out, as well as these flowers, the leaves. And this is one of the dies for the words. And so what I did was I took the words that actually fit in this space and I stamped those and cut those out, okay? You're gonna also notice this die right here. It cuts out 9 flowers at one time. So you're going to notice those 9 flowers right here. You can cut them out all at one time. Isn't that awesome? All right. Now this die right here will cut out the outline of the leaves. And this die cuts out the shape of the flower, just like the shape of this one. And then when you layer these two together, you can take this outline, okay, and put this on top of the leaves. So can you see the way that I did that? The outline is in old olive, and then this piece is in mossy meadow, all right? And then I want you to look at this piece, and you can see that this is actually 3-dimensional. You see how all these little flower petals lift? I'm going to show you where they are. The die is right here, and if you flip it over, you're going to see that this cuts out the flower as well as popping up those petals. And I'm going to teach you how to pop up those petals tonight because it's not very intuitive. It took me a while to kind of figure that out. So I'm sure some of you demonstrators watching figured that out right away, but I did not. So anyway, and then of course we're going to talk more about these pieces right here as we get into the evening. And next week we will make some cards using these pieces. So there is a lot right here, okay, that we can work with, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks with those. Hello, Joanne. It's so good to have you. Hi, Maria. Hi. And Maria wants a paper share. Absolutely, from the brand new catalog, Maria. Absolutely. So many of you know about my in color share box that I do every year. I'll have all the details next Wednesday and you can reserve your spot. Okay, so Maria, remind me that I need to tell you all about it, okay? All right, so let me show you some other things that you can do just with this stamped image, okay? We will be using the mercury acetate sheets, Carol. I plan to use those next Wednesday night, but I can show you a sample tonight, okay? All right, so before I show you some things you can do with the hydrangea, I forgot to show you the designer paper, and that's super important, okay? So the hydrangea paper comes 12 by 12 inches. So if you purchased the mini product share from me, then you have a sampling of this paper, okay? All right, so here's one of the sheets of paper, and this is in Rococo Rose, okay? And this one, we're gonna flip it over, and now we've got some purple posy and some Highland Heather. All right, these have some beautiful, beautiful coordinating colors. Here is another sheet of the paper. Keep in mind, it is 12 by 12, okay? And if you flip this over, we've got this piece with all the little petals. Here's another piece, and you probably remember me telling you in the book, there is a sample on top of a pizza box, and they cut this out and put that on top of the pizza box, okay? That's where that came from. And then we've got some Seaside Spray petals. I love Seaside Spray and Rococo Rose, and I'll be sad when they retire. Here's another piece. Isn't this gorgeous? I mean, this could be like wallpaper. And, you know, let's see. I got to find the opposite side. Here it is. Here is the opposite side, and that's in your mossy meadow in Old Olive. And then we have this piece. It is different than this piece. And this is the opposite side. And then I have one sheet that I'm going to show you in 12 by 12. Are you ready for this? Because it's drop dead gorgeous. Here it is. It is 12 by 12. I'm going to zoom out. This is a 12 by 12 piece. And if you are a scrapbooker, this would be an awesome piece of paper to add pictures and journaling to. But here it is. Isn't this lovely? So I do have something we're going to do with this too next week. So come back next week. We're going to still be working with this suite, and I'm going to show you how to use this unique piece of paper, okay? I just can't get to all of it tonight. And this is the opposite side, and it is in Rococo Rose, and it's got some little dots, okay? So that's the paper. Now let me show you the mercury glass paper. The mercury glass acetate sheets come 12 by 12, okay? So keep that in mind. This has been cut down to 6 by 6. Now, if you purchase my share box in January, you have this in your box, okay? All right, so now this piece it's a pinkish, so I would call this Rococo Rose. And then on the other side, you have silver, all right? And then this one, and I'm sure it tells you in our book, the color. It's probably Highland Heather, but let me look real quick. Let's see here. I think it's Highland Heather. Yes, it's Highland Heather mercury glass designer paper. That's Highland Heather. And on the opposite side, you have silver. And this is the Rococo Rose, okay? So next week, we will be creating a card with this, all right? So you don't want to miss that. All right, a few embellishments that came with the suite. These are the pastel pearls, and they come in 4 colors. And here they are right here. And ladies, I want to say they're going to carry over to the new catalog, but I'm not sure. I can't quite remember. So one of my demonstrators out there, give me the scoop. I think it's going to be in the new catalog. This is the gorgeous grape ribbon. Isn't this yummy? I just love this. Super easy to tie in a bow or a knot, okay? So that's the embellishments. And now I want to show you some different ways that you can actually use the hydrangea flower, all right? I've got to open this back up, put that piece of plastic in there. Okay, so I've made us a little chart, and you actually might want a screenshot of this. I'll zoom in. All right. Oh, I thought so, Tina. Yeah, the pastel pearls will be in the new annual catalog. I'm very happy about that. Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you for sharing, Maria. All right, so there are a ton of ways that you can use this one stamped image, okay? So I want to show you some of the techniques. First of all, you can stamp the image and leave it just like it is on a card. Now, the reason I say that is because on page 18, they've done that. Here is the stamped image. It is not colored. It is just stamped in black memento ink, okay? So you can certainly leave your hydrangea uncolored, okay? All right. The next thing you can do with the hydrangea flower is 2-step stamping, which I am going to show you tonight, where we'll stamp the flower and then stamp the blossom on top. Another thing you can do is use a sponge dauber, and I'm going to show you how to do that technique tonight too. So you'll see all three of these techniques tonight. And then another one that I recently added, and I didn't have a piece of paper for, Stampin' blends. This flower right here is colored with our Stampin' blends. I used Old Olive and Highland Heather. Okay, those were the Stampin' blends used to color this flower. All right, so certainly many ways that you can use this. All right, well, I'm ready to start with a card. How about you ladies? Okay, so here we are. This is going to be our first card this evening, and let's go ahead and get our stamping done, okay? We are going to need this sheet and this sheet and this sheet. All right. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we will stamp this watercolor image, all right? Now that watercolor image is right here in the stamp set. So I didn't have to watercolor it at all. I didn't have to get out the water and the ink refills and do the coloring. It's done for me. So the stamp looks like this, all right? Now this stamp set is a photopolymer stamp set. And so I am gonna use a Stampin' pad, okay? And I'm going to measure this for you as well, just to make sure that I have the right piece of paper here. This is the piece we're going to watercolor on or stamp on. And it measures 3 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. Okay, so that's your measurement for this card. Thank you, Gail. I'm so glad you like it. This was the last card that I made today, and it's quickly becoming my favorite, and it's super easy. Okay, are you ready for easy? All right, so we've got some retiring end colors, okay? And the first retiring end color is Rococo Rose. And I haven't checked today, but I would imagine at this point the ink pads are gone. So hopefully you've got your Rococo Rose. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is, I'm trying to move my ink away from the card. All right, this is full strength, and so I'm actually gonna stamp off, okay? I don't want it real heavy. And then I'm gonna stamp right here at the top, okay? And so that is my first stamped image, all right? Now I'm going to stamp it again, and this time it's gonna be full strength, okay? And I'm gonna overlap those 2 stamped images, all right? So that's my second one. Now, you'll have to remember, I am using the very same ink pads that I used today when I created the original card. But today I stamped on my hard countertop. Tonight I'm stamping on this pad, on this folding table, all right? So I can already see that the color is a little bit different, all right? All right, so that's Rococo Rose, and now I'm going to use Old Olive. So of course I've got to clean my stamp in between. I'm doing that with my simple chamois. And now this is Old Olive. This is full strength, so I'm going to stamp off. And then I am going to overlap those 2 colors and stamp again. All right, so now I'm going to do full strength, which will be about right here. Okay, and it's just a guess. I'm not measuring anything. All right, so I'm cleaning my stamp again. And now we're going to move to Seaside Spray, which is also retiring. And this really is probably my most favorite blue. I really will miss this one. I'm gonna try not to cry about that. All right, so now we're gonna do Seaside Spray, and I'm actually just gonna stamp it at full strength. So here's full strength coming our way. All right, and then I'm going to clean this stamp one more time, and we're gonna add Gorgeous Grape, all right, which is our darker purple. All right, so what do you think so far? Isn't this a cool background? And it's with a stamp. No actual watercoloring involved. All right, so this is my last one. This is full strength, and this is Gorgeous Grape. And of course, I'm overlapping the colors a bit. So that is our background. Isn't that cool? All right, so I cleaned up that stamp. Ever since I got the stamp set, I've been dying to try this watercolor stamped image. And so now we've done it. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in black memento ink. I'm gonna set this to the side, okay? All right, so now the black memento ink is coming in, and this is scrap paper, all right? And I'm going to be using this block right here. Now this is the Hydrangea, all right? I know the colors are very pretty together, Sue, and you know where the color came from, the idea? It came from the back of the designer paper package. That's what I went by as far as colors. Plus, there is a card similar to it in the mini. So I kind of cased it too. How many of you case the catalog? I've been doing that a lot lately, and I find that it just kind of helps me get my creative juices going. All right, hopefully I've got enough ink coverage there. And now I'm going to turn this over, and I'm just going to stamp it in the center. This is going to get cut out with our machine. All right, isn't that beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to cover that back up, and now I'm going to bring in Pear Pizzazz and Old Olive. I'll go ahead and get these open, and we are going to use the stamp to color the flower. Okay, hello Aunt Ethel, we're so happy you made it. Happy to have you tonight. I know, Joyce, you may want the stamp set just for the watercolor image, right? You can definitely use it on other cards and projects. All right, so here's the stem and the 3 leaves, all right? So I am going to, let's see, I'm actually gonna ink this in Pear Pizzazz. I actually didn't need the Old Olive right now. So this is Pear Pizzazz. It's a lighter green. And then I'm going to line it up. Now keep in mind, it's not an exact match, all right? So it's actually made to look like the entire flower was watercolored. So that's the image you'll get, and that's Pear Pizzazz, all right? So let me close these. And now we're going to color the top of the flower. And we're going to do that with Highland Heather, which is our lighter purple. And guess what? This is what we use to color this. Can you believe that? You're just going to lay this right over that image. Let me do it like this, and maybe you can see. And it's not within the lines, okay? So just keep in mind, it's supposed to be a watercolor image. All right, so I've inked it up in Highland Heather. I'm gonna very gently just kind of stamp off. And then I'm gonna put this over my flower, just like this. All right. And that's the image that I have. Now, I am going to take, so you can see how it's supposed to be outside the lines. You're also going to notice a variation in color, okay? And that's because the stamp is that way. Now I'm going to take my Highland Heather sponge dauber, and I'm going to take Highland Heather ink, and I am just tapping my sponge dauber into the ink pad. And then I am going to make some of the areas a little darker. So this is a sponge dauber technique that you can use. All right. So see how I'm doing that? Just making it a little darker in certain areas. Isn't that cool? I love it. It's so fun. It is such a simple technique. And I wanted you to be able to see that. Now, while I have the ink out here, let's go over to Gorgeous Grape, and we're gonna stamp a greeting. And this greeting says, "You are capable of amazing things." All right, which would be great for a graduation, wouldn't it? This is one of the dies that actually comes with the die set, and it fits some of the greetings, not all of them. I've already cut it out just to save us a little time. And now I'm stamping, and here are the words. All right, so we'll set that aside. I am going to clean some stamps because we're using quite a bit of these tonight. And I want to make sure that my blocks and my stamps are clean. All right. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some cutting. And we're going to use, I'm going to use the mini tonight. I love using the mini Stampin' Cut emboss machine when it's a small project because I can put it right on this table. All right, and it's small. Hi, Cynthia, welcome. Oh, Cynthia, this is a card we're making for anyone else just joining. This is the Hydrangea card that we're making this evening, all right? All right, well, let's get that Stampin' Cut emboss machine out, all right? And we're gonna fix up the sandwich. I'll show you how to do that. And we're gonna cut out our very first flower. Okay, of course, I know that I'm gonna need a number 1. Now remember, for cutting out a die, your sandwich is right here, all right? So we're using platform 1. We're using platform 2. We've got our hyacinth, not hyacinth, hydrangea. It is the color of a hyacinth, isn't it? All right, let me get the die. It is right here. I'm gonna stand up. Makes it a little easier for me. And I'm gonna position my flower right here, okay? Now I may end up using a little washi tape to hold it, or I may not, I haven't decided. But I think that's gonna work. And now I'm going to put my second plate on top, about right there. And then I'm gonna roll this through, all right? So this makes it super easy for me with my small work surface. I can use the little machine. All right. So let's see how our flower turned out. Here she is, isn't she pretty? There it is. Okay, I'm gonna move these plates out of the way. And now we're gonna assemble our card. And we're starting with a Gorgeous Grape cardstock base, okay? And so this card does measure 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and it is scored at 4.25 inches. All right, so that's my card base. And then my designer paper is right here. And this measures 4 inches by 5¼ inches. Thank you, Carol. Carol, I hold my breath. Instead of using washi tape to hold the die in place, I just hold my breath. And usually that works. That is so funny. I got lucky. That's pretty much what happened. I was just lucky. All right, so we're adding a little Stampin' seal along here. There we go. And then we're going to add it to this card base. All we have to do is center. Okay. All right. So we're all centered there. And let's see. Now, what did I do with my stamped piece? Hang on. Oh, I see it. I lost it for a second. Here we go. We've already measured this piece, but let me measure the Seaside Spray for you. It's measuring 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. Okay, so that's the size of that. Again, we're using seal, the Stampin' Seal. And if you're new to Stampin' Seal, it is a learning curve, absolutely. Takes time to master that. And now we're going to center this right along here. All right. Okay. And then this piece I'm actually going to pop up. Now, of course, didn't you already know that I was going to say that? You know we have to pop something up, right? Because I love dimensionals. They are so fun. They're like a penny a piece, so why not use a bunch? I'm just going to peel the paper off here. All right. And then this is going to get centered right on this piece. Okay? All right. So this is where we're going to add our hydrangea. And we're going to pop this up as well, okay? All right. So how many of you have hydrangeas in your yard? We have one, and about 2 years ago, we had someone take care of our lawn, and he really chopped our hydrangea bush. I mean, chopped it to nothing. And so last year, it never bloomed. But this year, fingers crossed, it will bloom. I certainly hope so. Okay, so we popped up our flower, and now we're going to pop up the words as well. And then we're going to use that Wink of Stella, and we'll add pearls and a bow, okay? I'm so glad y'all like the card. I really like this card. It was the last one that I made today, and I really, really like it. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get some Wink of Stella on here, let it dry a bit, and then we'll add our ribbon, okay? So this is the fun part. This is our clear glimmer pen, and we sell this. It's in our annual catalog, and I want to say it's $8, and it will carry over to the new book as well, okay? Oh, Cynthia, what color is your hydrangea? Because I'm like loving the Highland Heather color here, but I know they also come in a pink, probably maybe a white, oh, and a blue too. So what color is your hydrangea? Mine's supposed to be purple, I think, if it blooms this year. So, oh, yeah, they can be pretty strong, Pam, absolutely. Something else that I did with Stella and Peggy, you're going to be so, so happy about this. I added some shimmer to the watercolor. I just kind of went around it like that and put a little shimmer on the watercolor just in a few places. Actually, as much as I could reach. And you know, if I was sitting here alone, I would certainly probably take a little more time to do this, but I know you all are waiting for me to finish. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll add the pearls. Thank you, Sonia. I'm so glad you like it. I'm really tickled with it. I really am. Just love all the colors and stuff. All right, so let's add some pearls here. And we'll turn that one over. And then we'll, I don't know if this is a purple posy color pearl or if it's Island Heather. It is one or the other. And I'll just put that there. Okay, so that's the pearls, and we'll add a bow. You all know that I have to add a bow, right? All right, and we're going to use this gorgeous grape. Okay, yes, the more glimmer, the better. The more, the better. All right, so I'm just tying a bow right here to add to this flower, okay? Let's see how this turns out. All right. Oh, that's so cool. Cynthia says because of her soil, the blooms are a variety of colors. They're pink, they're blue, they're lavender, all in one bush. Oh, now that's really cool. I don't think I've ever seen that, Cynthia. Joyce says, I think you can change the color between pink and blue by changing the acidity of the soil. Joyce, I think you and Cynthia might be referring to the same thing. Mary Kay says, is this the flower that will be either blue or purple depending on your soil? Oh, now that's a good question. I had no idea about this. All right, you hydrangea folks, shed some light. I really don't know that much about hydrangeas. Okay, I don't think this bow is too big, so I'm gonna add a glue dot to the knot. All right, and Sue says, I agree with you, Gail. I like the card without the flower. It's a beautiful background. Oh, well, good. I didn't even think about just the background. All right, this is kind of a big bow going on here. All right, there we go. And hopefully the Wink of Stella has dried enough, okay? So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. You ladies know a lot about hydrangeas. I probably should have done a little research, okay? So that is our first card that we'll give away this evening, all right? So I hope you like that. I'm gonna set this to the side. And I'm gonna show you a card in the catalog, and I changed the background a bit. I'll zoom in here. So there's this card, and this is the one that I did, okay? And so you can tell that I changed the background. I used designer paper instead of a background stamp. And just a couple of things that I had changed there. Okay, so this one I kind of cased from the book, and now I decided that I would create my own. And so this is the next one that we're going to work on, okay? All right. And I'm going to show you this technique with all of these little petals that you can pop up, okay? Let's see here. All right. I was just looking at my notes just to make sure that I covered everything. Again, we're going to start with stamping, okay? And I know we're going to need this piece. Oh, thank you, Gail. You know, it's funny. Sometimes the card doesn't, I guess the catalog, the photo doesn't do it justice. And then you make the card and it's like drop dead gorgeous. You know, you just don't even realize how pretty it is. So for this shape on this card tonight, the Stitch So Sweetly, I have used this die set and the largest rectangle that's stitched, okay? So just wanted you to know that that's where that die came from. And I'm going to get out the Highland Heather. That is our lighter purple. And I'm going to stamp some flowers. Oh, thanks, Suzanne. I'm so glad you like it. All right. I'm going to use this little flower right here. Okay, it's still part of the same stamp set. I'm going to put a flower up there in the corner. And then down here, I'm just going to add like 4. Okay, doesn't really matter where they are. All right, so something like that, and hopefully you can see that. Let me show you here. Okay, so that's what I stamped. All right. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. In the catalog, it's a bit darker. Yeah, so thanks, Carol. All right, let's see. While I have my ink out, let's go to, we're going to be cutting out this tag. So we're going to stamp that later. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our flower. And this time, we're going to stamp it in, let's see what I want to do here. I think I'm trying to decide what I want to stamp the leaves in, or what did I stamp it in. Okay, so I'm going to actually stamp this in Old Olive this time, and I can do that because I'm not coloring with the Stampin' blends. Okay, here's my large flower. And I probably ought to bring in my stamp pad. And I'll just stamp it right here. Okay, so there it is stamped in Old Olive. Thank you. Hey, Dawn, welcome. Now I'm going to get out my Pear Pizzazz. And I'm going to take the stem and the leaves here and ink that in Pear Pizzazz. And then I'm going to line this up. And I'm going to stamp, okay? Now we'll be cutting this out as well. Of course, you're going to notice in the sample that I've got some flowers. I've already cut those out, and I'll tell you the colors in a bit. And now we're going to also cut out a piece of designer paper. And we're actually going to use this piece right here. And let me get my die. Here we go. This is the die that we're going to use. And I'm going to lay this on top. And we're going to cut that out. Okay? And we also need to cut a tag. So that's our tag that we're going to use. Now, hold your breath that I don't need to use washi tape to hold my pieces in place, okay? All right, let me move this to the side. Bring in our sweet little machine. And I can probably zoom out a little bit. This is platform 1. This is 2. We're going to lay this right here. All right, to cut it out. And let's go ahead. I'm just going to cut off. This is just scrap paper, okay? While I'm doing this, we'll also cut that out, okay? So we'll get both of those done at the very same time. And I'll try not to shake the table here. All right. So this is our tag. Set that aside. And now this is our flower that we just cut out, okay? So I'm going to show you how to make this three-dimensional. And now we're going to go back to this. And this paper, you know what? It might be a little wide for the platform. I hadn't thought of that. Okay, here it goes. Hold your breath that we get this just right. That might work. Let's see if I can slide that in. I think we can do it. These cutting pads might be too uneven. Yeah, they're too uneven for me to do that. So let's move it up. Okay, now I think we got it. It should work now. Okay, hopefully it doesn't slip. All right. And now we're going to have our flower here. There we go. Okay. So let's talk about this three-dimensional flower. All right. Okay. See, Carol, it works. You hold your breath. No, Leslie, I will not need an extra mini on Friday because I only have one die set. So we will, yeah. The card we're creating right now, I'm going to make in my classes coming up, my hostess clubs, okay? So you'll get to make this card. All right, I'm going to take off this attachment and I am going to put on the stylus attachment, okay? I found this to work extremely well with the larger tip, okay? The stylus has two size tips, smaller, larger, and I'm going to go with the larger one, okay? I found this with the pointed end did not work as well, all right? So that's one of the biggest tips that I can actually give you. Now, this side is going to show on the flower, and so I'm going to turn it over to the back side, and I am going to poke those little petals through. All right, and I mean really poke them, okay? Now it looks like, you see all those little holes? Those are the centers of flowers, those little teeny holes. All of mine came out with the die cutting. If they don't come out with your die cutting, then of course you're gonna take this and you're gonna poke out those holes, okay? But it looks like all of mine fell out. Okay. So this does take a little bit of time, all right? But the effect is super, super cool. So if you'll give me just a few minutes. And the other thing I found was that once you poke it in, kind of do that, and it keeps that petal out, all right? And honestly, it is a little hard to see it on this designer paper because this designer paper is kind of busy, okay? Thank you, Mary. I'm so glad you liked the card. My ladies are in for a treat this month, that is for sure. All right. So that's what you do. You just poke those petals. So if you have the Take Your Pick tool, bring it to class when you come. All right. And again, I'm going a little fast because, you know, I'm on camera here. Let me get the middle here, get some of those poked through. So I worked quite a bit with this, and so that's what I have figured out to work for me so far. Now, there may be another demonstrator watching tonight that has a better idea, and if you do, I'd love to know it. So, all right. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of poke all of those little things through, and that'll be good enough for this card. All right, and then we get that, and then of course you can flip it over, and if you want to pop up these petals with your, you know, fingernails or whatever, you can do that too. All right, so we're just trying to make it look three-dimensional. Now I want to show you what it looks like with some other paper. So I have another technique card for you. In this card, or with this flower, you're gonna notice that I used cardstock. So here's a hydrangea bloom with cardstock, okay? This is the hydrangea bloom with designer paper. And this one's with watercolor. This is actual watercolor, and I'm gonna show you how to do that one next week, okay? That'll be your last technique that I haven't shown you yet, okay? So that's next week with real watercolor paper and watercoloring. This is designer paper, and this is a blossom with cardstock, all right? So with the designer paper, it's a little bit harder to see those petals because, you know, the paper's kind of busy, right? Okay, well, let's go ahead. We're going to get our card put together. I'm using the same size card base, all right, which is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Then I've added some Whisper White cardstock, and this measures 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch, okay? 5 3/8 of an inch. And let's see, let's go ahead and we're gonna put our designer paper on this. I did make my designer paper the very same size. So this measures 4 inches by 3 inches, okay? And I'll add the top one first. It really doesn't matter which one you add first. I have too many things here on my workspace. All right. And let's see. Position my paper right, and now I'm going to add this, and I'm going to have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Okay, so that's going to be the top, and then I'm going to add the bottom piece. And I don't think this paper is really directional, so I think we're okay laying it like this. Again, we've got to do that 1/8 of an inch. All right, right there, they're overlapping. And I am going to take this piece of gorgeous grape. I'm going to add a glue dot, lift that up, and I'm going to wrap that glue dot right around to the back, okay? And I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to add the glue dot to the ribbon again. I'm going to come straight across, just like this. Add it to the back. All right. So now our gorgeous grape ribbon is there. And then I'm going to add my adhesive. All right. So when my adhesive gets caught, I like to take my thumb and rub it against the roller to advance that adhesive. All right. So I don't know if yours ever gets stuck or not, but sometimes that happens to me, and that's what I do to get it rolling again. All right. And now we're just going to center this right on the card. Okay. And then we can add our Stitch So Sweetly, and we'll do that with dimensionals. Hey, Tara. Yay, I'm so glad you like purple. That's awesome. My sister's favorite color is purple. She wears everything purple and gives everybody everything purple. So she would absolutely love this card. All right, I'm gonna center this. Okay, right about there. And what happened to my flower? Here she is. I am going to pop this up as well. I think this flower looks so sweet popped up, but you don't have to, okay? You don't have to. All right. Margaret, you missed our conversation last week. Margaret wants to know about my ruler and why it's so clean. Margaret, last week I cleaned it. I took some Goo Gone, I rubbed the ruler, washed it, cleaned it. I also did my paper trimmer, and I think I did my Stamparatus. I cleaned everything and got adhesive off everything. So, yeah, you missed that conversation last week. We were busy doing that. Okay, so at this point, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our blossoms, okay? And the way I did that was to just take some mini dimensionals, all right? And I'm just gonna add them wherever, okay? And some may cover up the holes or the little blossoms, but that's okay. I'm gonna add one more. So I added 4. You could add 2 if you want. Yeah. Gail says those 2 colors would make a beautiful mother of the bride dress. Gail is saying that because I have a daughter getting married in December 18th. Yeah, that would be good, Gail. I'll have to show her the colors. I don't know if it's going to fit her color scheme. Yes, I'm done. I'm absolutely done with spring clean until next year. All right, now with your blossom, you can keep turning this until you fit it right into place. All right, and it will pretty much match up, I think. I'm going to give it a try now. And yep. It does match up, ladies. Okay, so you can align them if you want. And now that piece is done. And I'm zooming in so you all can get a good picture of that, okay? It is a little hard to see those blossoms because of the paper. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna add some more little touches to it. And I'm going to add the little tag, and we're gonna stamp with gorgeous grape ink. And I don't know if I have the thank you out. Let me see. I don't think I have my thank you stamp out, but I can get it out. So hang tight. Where are you? Let's see. All right, that's with love. And this is thank you. All right. And I'm inking this. I'm doing gorgeous grape. I think I told you that. And I'm going to put it towards the bottom. Okay. So there's my little thank you. I am going to add a glue dot to this. Okay, just to the top of the tag. And then I'm gonna tuck that right here. Okay, about right there. Now, I haven't forgotten about Winka Stella, okay? Yes, Gail has a job. She can make the dress. That would be awesome. All right, now we're gonna add some flowers. And guess what? I made lots of flowers today. So we've got, let me show you our colors. We've got gorgeous grape. That's one of the flowers. We've got purple posy right there. And then seaside spray right there. All right. And then I'm gonna add another one. All right. So that's the flowers. So another tip, cut tons of flowers, and then whenever you're making cards, you've got it. All right, I'm gonna try a glue dot with, oh, I know something I needed to teach y'all. Okay, let's talk flowers, these little flowers, okay? Let's go back to the stylus. And now this time I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to use the small end. And I'm just going to poke in the middle, which you can't see me do. And then that will pop the petals. And actually, I think you can use the bigger stylus point as well. Yeah, I think the bigger stylus point works better. So now I'm going to try it with a glue dot. I may have used Tombow glue on these flowers. I'm kind of thinking I did. I'm just going to add that little flower there. And let's see here. I want to lift that back up. Yeah, I'm going to use Tombow glue on the next ones. All right, so that's one flower, okay? And then the Tombow glue, and this has not been used now since last week, so I've got to get the sticky stuff off of there. I'm just going to put one there, and one there. All right, now that's where flowers are going to go. You could also use the fine tip glue pen. That would also work for you. Let's see. Let's get a flower. I think they're tucked under here. And we'll go ahead and do this next one. All right, and then I'm gonna, this putty is a little long. I'm gonna take that off. See if I can pick that up and put that right there. Okay, now the key is to let that sit there a few minutes, okay, to dry. So we're gonna leave it alone for a few minutes. I'm gonna take this little scrap piece of ribbon that was left, and I'm gonna try and tie it in a knot if I can. I don't know, it may just be too short for me to do. Ha. There we go. All right, now this, I'm definitely gonna use a glue dot. I'm gonna cover up that hole that was on the tag. Okay, and we'll cut that at a diagonal. And remember, I still have glue over here, so. All right, I think we barely made that into a bow. All right, let's do the next one. We'll get our next flower done. All right, and we'll pop that one right there. Okay, that one worked out much better. We were talking about the Take Your Pick tool in my last class, and everybody was saying how much they enjoyed it. But it's funny, when I first got mine, it's like, I'm not sure what I do with this thing. So I didn't use it. And now I'm getting to the point where, you know, I can't live without it. So, all right, here's our last little flower going in there. Okay, now once they dry, you can pop those petals some more, all right? But it really needs to dry well before fooling with them and positioning them, okay? Now we can probably get a little Wink of Stella on here, and I'll just add some here to the leaves. Hopefully you all can, I know it's really hard to see this on the camera, so you have to envision it. All right, so what do you think of the Hydrangea Suite? What are your thoughts? You might even be able to put a little Wink of Stella up here on some of these petals. Why not? All right, so you can do this up here and really make your bloom come to life. All right, which is kind of what I'm doing right now here. All right. Okay, so that is our second card. I'm gonna get us set up for our prize patrol drawing, okay? Would you like a sneak peek of next week's cards? Would you like to see some of those? Would you like to see next week's cards? Plus, I'll have one surprise next week. Thank you, everyone. I'm so glad you like it. Thank you, thank you. All right, Carol was asking me about mercury glass acetate sheets, if I could make a card with those. And this is the card that I made with the mercury acetate sheets. And this is the silver side, okay? Now, do you see this popped up? And there's some blooms in the background. I'm going to show you how to do that technique next week, okay? So we will continue on with the hydrangea suite. It is awesome. It's amazing. All right, the next card that I'll show you for next week, I've taken those little blooms and I've taken the little leaves. I'll show you where they are in the stamp set. Right here, and right here. So I've taken those smaller blooms and I've added them to the card. So we'll get an opportunity to make these next week along with another surprise, okay?